We've lost Payet. We've lost Payet. I just don't think you understand what we're going through.
This is for the ones who care.
Well. What's going on, people? Welcome back to another video. My name is hughwizzy, and wow! Incredible scenes this morning. Some very interesting, oh God. I mean, it's all kicking off at West Ham. Slaven Bilic revealing that Dimitri Payet has told West Ham he wants to leave the club and he's actually refusing to train with the squad. Oh, controversial. This is definitely going to be very disappointing news to hear for West Ham fans. Dimitri Payet has apparently told the club that when the January transfer window opened that he wanted out, despite only having signed a new deal in February that actually made him West Ham's highest paid player in the history of the club at 125 grand a week. However, Slaven Bilic is standing his ground and has told Payet that he will not be sold this month. And so the standoff continues. Refusing to train, the player is actually on strike. Incredible scenes. And Slaven Bilic has come out already and said, let's get serious. I have a situation with a player. It is Dimitri Payet. He wants to leave. We are not going to sell him. He said it started 10 days ago when the window started. I spoke to the club. I spoke to the chairman. It's not a money issue. We gave him a new contract. I don't think he will go this window, but it will be hard to keep him happy. This team, the staff, we gave him everything. We were always there for him. I feel let down. I feel angry. Well, you know what? It's time to move on. It's time to let this guy go. It's time to cash in while you can. I think even announcing this is basically driven the price down a little bit because clubs will now know that he wants out, that he wants to leave. Yeah, this is big news because the world will now be all over this. The footballing clubs that be, the powers that be, the ones that are in the Champions League, where I believe that Payet should be playing, will now all be looking to sign this guy on the dotted line. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Should Bilic have come out and said this? Is that a very smart move? It doesn't strike me as very clever. However, the player is on strike. I don't think there's anything they can really do. And it looks like he will be leaving in the near future. Although, like I said, Bilic saying he's not going to be selling the guy. What are you going to be doing with the guy? Leaving him to rot? Have we got another Mourinho situation on our hands? Mourinho, I think he scored 1 goal in like a year. And it's just become a farcical situation where the player has been left to rot. It's detrimental to his career. As far as I'm concerned, that situation in particular is detrimental to West Bromwich Albion, and I do hope that West Ham do let him go and have the power or the balls to move on, because you can't let a player be bigger than the club. You cannot let someone make demands like this, and whether you're fucking Cesc Fabregas, Robin van Persie or not, if you want out, maybe those two aren't the best examples, but those are the first things that came into my mind. If a player wants out, let him leave. It's like a relationship. If one person isn't happy, just tell him to fuck off. Do you know what I mean? If you don't want in, then it's quite simple. You can do one. Yes, it's a painful situation. Yes, it's going to upset a lot of fans. Yes, there are thousands of people who would have bought Payet, it was his number, 27 shirts, and invested in the player. However, it's life, right? All things come to an end. Nothing lasts forever. Payet is off. Payet is... It's exciting. Big news. West Ham fans are not going to be happy with that. The worry is, of course, that West Ham won't be able to attract a player who is of his quality, a player of his ilk. He is a truly top player who has obviously been slightly away with the fairies, or just hasn't had his heart in it this season. It has to be said. He certainly hasn't been performing to the level that we know that he can. And I am very interested to see what the next move is. Who is going to have the gazump, the balls to make a serious bid for the guy, and will they accept it? Because West Ham do like money. Their owners operate in a very strange way, I have to say, much unlike any other club really in the Premier League, possibly in world football, in that they're very open, especially with their social media accounts, in leaking news before the major corporations like Sky Sports and BBC do. They talk openly about transfer dealings, and they have been tweeting some quite worrying things of late, with the likes of Gold saying things like, how much will we be able to sell Defoe for when he's 36? That kind of thing really worries me, because it shows that you are solely about profitability. What is a player like that worth to them? A player who could possibly help to secure their Premier League status this season. And should they manage to stay up, surely that will make them much more than the Defoe deal itself would cost them to get through. I'm not saying that Jermaine Defoe is the answer to all their problems, and it is quite possible that he is too old, but he's a very experienced guy that could certainly score goals, and they are after a striker, and the likes of Zaza really haven't worked out, so it'll be very interesting to see what they do here. Do they cash in and try and bring a few new names in, or do they stand their ground and have this guy unhappy? And what do you think about the way that they operate in terms of their social media? It's quite confusing to me, and I get the feeling that a lot of fans are starting to see that it's not so much about the history of West Ham, or really, as they were trying to sell to the fans, making the club a massive entity, you know, a real European powerhouse. It's more so about making money, and football is really a business these days. I really do understand that, and there is a balance that has to be struck. I'm not sure that West Ham right now are striking that balance in the correct way. Let's talk about some other transfer dealings. Everton have signed Morgan Schneiderlin, a £22 million move, which will make him, I think, the third most expensive player of all time. He's a player that's only got 11 minutes of football under Jose Mourinho, and isn't being considered as an option for Manchester United. Interestingly, they spent a lot of money on him. He's been on quite a high wage, and that new investment that Everton have got from the likes of Farhad Moshiri and Alisher Usmanov, who sponsored the training ground with that £75 million injection, is beginning to take shape. And I guess he's one of the first of the big deals that we're bound to see as they try and make Everton a Champions League club. I'd love to know your thoughts on the Morgan Schneiderlin deal. They're building quite a solid midfield, the likes of Idrissa Gueye, Schneiderlin, Gareth Barry, Ross Barkley. They've got quite a few talented players there that could create quite a nice little unit in the middle of the park. And although they certainly haven't been performing up to the standard that I think Koeman would have wanted them to this season, it is certainly quite a promising look for Everton, and I'm sure that their fans will be happy that they are going into the transfer market balls deep, as it were. 3 contract renewals for Arsenal on the table as well, with Francis Coquelin, Olivier Giroud and Laurent Koscielny all signing on the dotted line. I'm very happy about all of them. Koscielny has been a fantastic servant to the club. In fact, all of them have, really. They've all been very patient with the club. They've all grown with the club. And I think the re-signing of all of them shows the faith that the club has put in them being repaid. Next up, obviously, Arsenal have actually made another signing this January transfer window, and that is a very young, promising left-back who we've got from the netherworlds of the lower leagues. He's played for 7 lower league sides. I don't see it as a risk. I actually see it as a great deal. £40,000 to sign a player. I mean, it's not really any kind of risk whatsoever in terms of the money that's being thrown about in football these days. And I love the fact that he is a young, mixed-race Englishman. Why can't we invest in young English players and hope that they do well? It didn't work so well with Cole Jenkinson, who looks like he may well be off to Crystal Palace in the very near future, or another club, and on a permanent basis, but there's no reason why this one can't, and he will slot nicely into the under-23 side and shows good potential for growth. Probably needs to grow a bit physically. He certainly needs to gain experience at the top level, but it's fantastic to see a young Englishman being brought in to play with some other top quality players who he can certainly learn from. I'm behind it. I hope that you are. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Again, moving on, Crystal Palace manager Sam Allardyce says that selling Christian Benteke is not an option, and that they have plenty of options up front as well already, so they won't be looking to bring any other strikers in. However, they will be looking to bring in defenders, because he says it needs shoring up at the back, and I certainly agree with him. That's obviously what his game is built on, and the fact that they have options that haven't really lived up to expectations, especially at their price tag so far, would suggest that that may well be the right move. Roma seem quite keen on signing Wojciech Szczesny on a permanent deal. He's been in quite good form of late. Reports are in Italy, or coming out of Italy, that they're willing to pay up to £14 million for him. Très intéressant. I'm not really sure where I stand on this one, because potentially he could be Arsenal's best goalkeeper right now. That said, it's been quite a while that he's been out there. He's probably adjusted to Serie A. I'm not sure that the investment that Arsenal put in him has really been repaid yet, although he was kind of thrown in the deep end and didn't prove to be that successful whilst he was at the club. I do think that Arsenal do need to sign another goalkeeper very soon, and it may well be just easier to bring him back. Again, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you still have any faith in Szczesny, or were you done with him before he'd left? Have you been watching him play, grow and improve? He's a lot more vocal these days, a lot more commanding in this area. And like I said, he's been in top form. Swansea have agreed a £5 million fee with Norwich for Swedish defender Martin Olsson. It's a step down from the rumours that they were quite interested in bringing in Mamadou Sakho. But Liverpool did ask 20 million for Sakho, and Swansea just said, that's not happening. I do rate Mamadou Sakho, French captain of all age groups, I think, up until the full international squad, and still has a lot to offer in his career. Jurgen Klopp seemingly just totally done with the guy, whether that's to do with his failed drugs test or whether getting caught out using weight slimming pills or fat slimming pills or whatever it was he was caught doing. It is another matter entirely, but yes, there is that. Next up, we've got Swansea City, who have actually signed a certain Claude Makelele to be a coach alongside Paul Clement. He is going to have an incredible influence. If anything, the fact that he worked with Paul Clement at PSG with Carlo Ancelotti, I believe, means that they have some kind of relationship already. He obviously has faith in Claude, and I find it very difficult to believe that Claude isn't going to have an incredible impact defensively. He will be an incredible coach if he can transfer even a quarter or just a tiny fraction of what he was able to bring to the game as a player. I'm not sure if he's actually an assistant manager or a coach, but either way, he's someone that certainly has a lot to offer. And another guy who came to the Premier League as a wide attacking option that wasn't given much opportunity is Memphis Depay, who is attracting interest from the likes of Lyon, who opened talks with him. Again, Jose Mourinho doesn't seem that keen on keeping the guy or giving him a chance or an opportunity. I'm not sure whether he's too much of an outlandish character, has too much interest in extracurricular activities, shall we say. He was caught smoking, what are these, hubbly bubblies, shishas, quite recently, and I'm not sure that his mind is always as focused as it possibly could be. But he was someone that I was very impressed with when I was in Brazil covering the World Cup. He looked fantastic under Van Gaal for the Dutch side, showed so much promise, and I still think has a lot to offer the game. I would be disappointed if he doesn't stay in the Premier League. I think he's had one start this season, so he's certainly not in their plans from the looks of things. Another person that it didn't really work out for in the Premier League is Adel Taarabt, who has secured a loan move to Genoa. Such a talented player. Again, someone that I don't think is really focused in enough on making a success of their career and has been led astray by agents. Copa del Rey second leg was last night, and Barcelona changed their playing style a little bit. I haven't been very impressed with Barcelona of late. I do think that Luis Enrique is under a lot of pressure, actually. But they have fallen short in La Liga this season. And last night, there were visible changes to the playing style. Lionel Messi not dropping as deep. They were pressing slightly more efficiently in midfield. And Neymar was wider out on the left, where he's been kind of sucked into the middle a little bit and getting a little bit crowded out and lost. It was nice to see him end his goal drought. Very kind of Lionel Messi to give him the penalty, because I think it had been over 1,000 minutes since his last goal. But again, the man who many consider to be the greatest of all time, showing just how incredible he is with the pinpoint accuracy of this free kick. Was just sublime. We're talking as bottom corner as you can possibly get, in off the post from another acute angle, or from an angle which really should have been taken by a right footer, and he completely wrong-footed the goalkeeper, sent him the wrong way. Luis Suarez as well, with one of the most phenomenal finishes. A ball whipped over from the left-hand side, and he flung himself at it at this great angle and sliced it with perfection, just banging it bottom left. A wonderful striker who has got an incredible goal record at Barcelona, absolutely phenomenal. Now another player that is signing on the dotted line is Manchester United's Marouane Fellaini, who has extended his contract to the club until 2018. He's been quite important for Manchester United. He's not the easiest on the eye at times, he can be clumsy, but he's offered them a lot and has played in so many different positions that I see this as a very valuable player to them, especially in the process of rebuilding. He's not obviously got the passing ability or the calmness or the experience of someone like Michael Carrick. However, he does have a part to play. He can come on in the last 10 and offer something, whether it's up front or defensively. He's obviously very tall and very physical and very difficult to deal with in the middle of the park. it's probably not where Manchester United thought that they'd be, or fans thought that they would be, so re-signing Fellaini or signing him onto a new deal. But it was an option in his contract from the beginning of his move to United from Everton that he would have the option of extending by a year, and they've taken that option up. Now, next up is that Hammersmith and Fulham Council have unanimously approved planning permission for Chelsea to redevelop Stamford Bridge into a 60,000-seater stadium, which could be completed by 2021. The redo of the stadium has been designed by the architects responsible for Bayern Munich's Allianz Arena. I'm not going to lie, I'm not the biggest fan of the way it looks. However, it's a massive deal. It will cost them up to £500 million, and they still need to get a bit of permission before, or other permissions granted before they can start work on restructuring Stamford Bridge. However, put that together with the fact that Tottenham are doing the same thing, Arsenal have already done it. It's certainly going to bring in more money, more sponsorship, better players, more security in the fact that Chelsea for quite some time now, I think, have been kind of capping what they can bring home in terms of profitability, and this will certainly help change things. Let's talk about the World Cup in 2026, which has been confirmed now is going to be a 48-team tournament with 16 groups of 3, as we spoke about a few days ago. Gianni Infantino, what a guy. He is taken over from Sepp Blatter, but I don't trust him any more than I did Sepp. He does some very strange things that lead me to question what his real motives are. You have to kind of consider that whilst FIFA are in so much hot water at the moment, whilst they've been under investigation and kind of caught by the FBI, and how World Cup voting is influenced by things like buying people expensive handbags and watches. And he does some very odd things like fielding himself in a Legends match at FIFA HQ. Is he really a FIFA legend? Does he need to be on the pitch? You know, the inaugural best FIFA's best awards, whatever it's called. It's just things like this tend to happen when things in the company are going very wrong. Otherwise, there's no need to make changes like this. And the biggest change, I suppose, that they're going to make now is football's flagship competition, the biggest competition in the world, in the World Cup, is now officially going to be a 48-team tournament. It's a decision that has been lauded by some very insecure federations who've been heavily influenced. The FA are one of them. However, La Liga have spoken out and are potentially going to be taking them to court because they say that they weren't consulted about anything like this. Germans have come out and said, certainly Jurgen Low and Michael Ballack have been very outspoken in the fact that they're not sure about the intentions. And FIFA has kind of realised in a way that corruption behind closed doors isn't going to wash anymore, and that they are under incredible scrutiny. And that they're now going to have to start corrupting the competitions themselves. It strikes me as a very political move from Infantino, who is obviously keen to secure votes, as many votes as possible, and is very keen on the money, loves the cash. And I just worry that the competition is becoming more about the economic infrastructure or the sponsorship from McDonald's than the actual football itself. It's certainly becoming quantity over quality, and it could be argued that it's being used as this kind of developmental leg up to struggling nations. I'm all for the expansion of the beautiful game. I'm all for getting more people involved. I'm all for sharing power more evenly across the world stage. However, is this really of benefit? We've already seen at the Euros that having more teams involved, I think it was 24 as opposed to 16 for the first time in the Euros, how it leads to a drastic drop in the quality. It means that teams and countries or clubs in any kind of competition that feel that they're going to struggle or know that their quality of their players isn't up to the standard of others have to employ these incredibly defensive tactics, and as a result some of the games are just bloody boring. And they're talking already about things like having penalty shootouts to decide draws. I just worry what this is becoming. It's certainly not what I grew up watching. It's certainly not what I grew up looking forward to in what should be the most spectacular event in world football. I mean, how much are you looking forward to watching Andorra against Fiji? I just don't know I don't know what that adds. And I firmly believe that that's what qualification is for. I'm slightly confused as to where it's going, and I would love to know your thoughts. Now I'm going to love you and leave you there. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe if you're new, and drop the video a like if you breathe oxygen. For now though, I've been hughwizzy, and this has been a lot of fun. Peace.